Welcome back to Striking 'em Sports Chat with Bowl for Food. Football season is winding down. Baseball season's about to ramp up. Hockey season is in full ice. Ha ha! And basketball season's, well, it's going. But right now we're going to focus on a little football. So, the question is,
So, what do we want to talk about?
on today's episode, we are talking about the drama in Buffalo. Will Josh Allen want out? While hiring should be done after the Super Bowl. This is my hot take. Coordinators, head coaches, maybe. That's an if. And there's 10 head coaching jobs. 4 of them are filled, so 6 left. Who might go where? Stay tuned. All right, let's listen to this owner's press conference, or the start of it.
Thoughts that they gave our family while we were going through that ordeal. My decision to bring in a new coach was based on the
His choice. His choice and his choice only.
results of our game in Denver. I want to take you in the locker room after that game.
Listen to this. This is where it gets weird.
I looked around. First thing I noticed was our quarterback with his head down, crying. I looked at all the other players. I looked at their faces and our coaches. I walked over to Josh. He didn't even acknowledge I was there. First thing I said to him, I said, "That was a catch." We all know what I'm talking about. He didn't acknowledge me. He just sat there sobbing. He was listless. He had given everything he had to try to win that game. And looking around, so did all the other players on the team. I saw the pain in Josh's face at his presser, and I felt his pain. I know we can do better, and I know we will get better.
Okay, but are you telling me that Sean McDermott didn't show any emotion when you talked to him? Or did you talk to him? Because I'm almost certain that Sean McDermott was upset too.
I want to express my confidence in the guy sitting next to me, Brandon Bean.
And here's where it gets really good, because this is where the owner talks about Keon Coleman.
The wide receiver position has been an issue with this team, and a lot of people out there believe you have failed in the free agent market, and then obviously with the Keon Coleman signing, which hasn't worked out. How do you answer the fact that you have not
On this,
Josh?
the question was asked about why there was only 3 healthy wide receivers and you had to call people up from the practice squads, and then the drafting of Keon Coleman.
The coaching staff pushed to draft Keon. I'm not saying Brandon wouldn't have drafted him, but he wasn't his next choice. That was Brandon being a team player and taking advice of his coaching staff, who felt strongly about the player. And, he's taken, for some reason, heat over it and not saying a word about it, but I'm here to tell you the true story.
So he's taking a lot of heat over it. Why? Because he's the player of personnel. Okay, he got promoted to GM just, 2 days ago, something like that. But he's the player of personnel. And you're saying he was okay with letting your offensive coordinator, Joe Brady, and Sean McDermott draft Keon Coleman, 2 years ago? But he's taken all the heat for it and hasn't said anything and stuck up and said, well, or throw your offense coordinator and your head coach under the bus, but now you're going to do it when your head coach is no longer your head coach and your OC just interviewed for your head coaching job. And if he leaves, what do you leave Josh Allen with? And if Keon Coleman gets traded, what are you really, really leaving Josh Allen with? Okay, the number one running back in the league this year, but 2 good tight ends. But what are you doing with the wide receivers? Absolutely nothing. And he, Brandon Beane, had a chance to get Jalen Waddle at the trade deadline and didn't pull the trigger. So, truthfully, what are you leaving Josh Allen with, wide receiver wise, right now? Absolutely freaking nothing. But it's the head coach's fault, right? Okay. Here's the thing that's been weighing on me. Should teams have to wait to hire everyone, the 4 major coaches, head coach, offense coordinator, defense coordinator, special teams coordinator, until after the Super Bowl? Should interviews be done after the Super Bowl? Now, I understand you have to get your head coach in place so he can actually get a staff in place. But let's take Brian Flores as an example. Minnesota, his contract ended, so he can be a head coach, but Minnesota wants him back. But he can also interview for all defense coordinator positions. Cool. I get that. But he's one of the top 3 defensive coordinators that's available. So what if, example, the 49ers, which this happened, but the 49ers lost Robert Saleh to the Titans to become their head coach. So what if Brian Flores signed somewhere else as a DC? But the 49ers didn't know they were going to lose their DC. And they're still in the playoffs. So you're losing out, the 49ers are, on a top defensive coordinator. So essentially, what I'm thinking in my head is, if you're a playoff team, you're getting shafted because they can cherry pick off of your coordinators. As we see, the 49ers lost. Robert Saleh leaves. He's going to Tennessee as a head coach. Cool. A head coach is kind of different of a DC because it gets you out of your contract because you're going a step up, not step over. I get it. However, what if they would have made the Super Bowl? Then the 49ers lose Robert Saleh, but all the other defensive coordinators, the 1A, the 1B, the 2A, the 2B, they're gone. So now they have to get like the 4th or 5th best coordinator, maybe even 6th and 7th. Does that help them or does that hurt them? And that's the problem. Or do they hire within, which maybe they're not as good at scheming as Robert Saleh was. So my thought is, if you wait and you hire your offense, your defense coordinator, your special teams coordinator, and I'm 60-40 on your head coach, but I understand the head coach side. You need to hire a head coach early. Cool. So I really strongly believe your coordinators and somewhat your head coach need to be hired after the Super Bowl. So everyone in the NFL has a fair shake of being able to interview, offer, and even maybe hire some of the top coaches. Because if I'm the 49ers, I can't interview the top coaches when I still have a coach and I still got to play a game. So it doesn't make sense to me that some teams are going to get shafted because they're good and their coordinator is one of the top coordinators, but he's going to leave, but you don't know he's going to leave. So I feel like the coordinator position and somewhat the head coach, but more the coordinator positions should wait until after the Super Bowl to be hired. There were 10 head coaching jobs open. 4 have got filled. The ex-Cleveland Browns head coach goes to Atlanta. Jim Harbaugh goes to the Giants. Robert Saleh goes to Tennessee. And Jeff Haley goes to the Dolphins. So that leaves, let's go just down the list of who's up there. Arizona, I believe Jesse Minter or Chris Shula. Here's the interesting thing about Chris Shula. He's in the Rams organization. He knows this division. He's a defensive-minded coach. Arizona's not that far off. They're really not. Are they going to keep Kyler Murray? That's the big question. But I think he, over Jesse Minter, would actually be the pick. And then we go to Baltimore. Here goes this guy again, Jesse Minter. Los Angeles Chargers defensive coach. I think he'll be a good fit here. The other guy, the dark horse, is Vance Joseph. I really believe he'll work with Lamar. He'll get an offensive coordinator in that will actually run the ball with Derrick Henry. And I think he would work with that defense. That defense is not bad. Just needs help. Then we go to Cleveland. The 2 names that I keep popping up and that I don't think anybody has talked about is Matt Nagy and Cliff Kingsbury. You got Sedor there. You need a wide receiver. You got 2 good tight ends. I think David Ayuk or Ajoku. I'm sorry, David Ajoku. I think he's gone. But you got Finn, who I guess was a rookie this year, broke out. You need another wide receiver. You got 2 running backs that are okay. So I think Cliff Kingsbury can work for Sedor and actually make him a respectable quarterback in the league. And we're going to skip the Raiders because there's a lot to go into. Buffalo is the job that I think the only way you make Josh Allen happy if you hire Brian Daboll. That's the only way you make Josh Allen happy. Josh Allen has to help you pick the next head coach, or Josh Allen will not be on the Buffalo Bills after this year. I strongly believe that because I don't think he wanted Sean McDermott to leave. I don't think he wants Joe Brady to leave, and Joe Brady might leave. So you have to give him a head coach that he wants and that he will play for. Let's go Pittsburgh Steelers. I think this is close to being a done deal. I think Mike McCarthy comes back, goes to his hometown, his home team that he rooted for growing up, and he coaches the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's a big, big Howell fan, right? Ain't that the Ohio State quarterback? Howard fan. Ohio State quarterback that they drafted this year that sat behind Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers said that he's going to be really good. But there's pieces there already. So I think Mike McCarthy goes to Steelers. Let's go to Vegas. Vegas has the number 1 pick. We know who they're taking. They're taking the national championship winning, Heisman Trophy winning Fernando. So who becomes their head coach? Well, Tom Brady is going to be one of the people doing the search. And I have one of the 2 Kubiak brothers. They're both going to be available for head coaching jobs. One's in Seattle right now. You can't interview him until afterwards. I would say the Super Bowl, but we don't know if they're getting there yet. So I think one of the Kubiak brothers gets it. If not, I think Cliff Kingsbury is a dark horse for this one too. I really do. But you have to think of who can run an offense to help this quarterback that you're going to draft excel quickly and not make mistakes and not set back a franchise like you have been. And I think that's where you go with somebody who's been around the league longer and knows offense, can put an offense in, who can tailor around what they have. Man, they got playmakers. And nobody sees this. They trade away Jacoby Myers and they were winning games. They need a wide receiver. They really do. But they got 2 really good tight ends. They just drafted a running back that they didn't use. So now you're going to have a running back who's really good. I think he's going to be really good in the NFL. You got 2 tight ends. You got Brock Bowers, Michael Myers. Michael Myers is really a blocking tight end from Notre Dame, but he can catch the ball. But Brock Bowers is a top 5 tight end in the league. Point blank in the story. And if you look at these head coaching jobs, 4 of them have top 8 tight ends that you can go to, and a tight end position is very, very important for a quarterback. It's their safety. 100%. So you go Arizona, Trey McBride. Great season. Atlanta, Kyle Pitts. I'm sorry, 5 of them. Because you go to Baltimore, you got Mark Andrews and Likely. And then you go to Vegas, and you have Brock Bowers. And then you go to Pittsburgh, 6 of them. You go to Pittsburgh, you got Pat Fairmouth. And then you go to Buffalo, and you have Dawson Knox and Dawson Kincaid. So, your tight end is your security blanket for your quarterback. Now, we got to figure out on 1, 2, 3, 4, on 4 of these teams, who's going to be the quarterback? Arizona, Cleveland. We know who's going to be Vegas, but we're going to exclude them. So we're going to exclude Vegas. We know they're going to draft. The Dolphins, are they going to keep Tua? We don't know. Pittsburgh, is Aaron Rodgers coming back? Or is Howard going to be the quarterback? These things right here is what makes the offseason so much fun. OTA so much fun. The draft is going to be so much fun because you don't know who's going to draft what. Are the Jets going to trade the second pick for someone? We'll get into that later, closer to the draft. But 6 more head coaching jobs available. We'll see who fills them. And as always, hit that thumbs up button. Hit that follow button. We are live on every social media platform at Bowl for Food. We out. We holla. We appreciate y'all.